Welcome to the Register's Report. My name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds of Plymouth County, and this show is about Plymouth County real estate. We're going to talk about some of the numbers in December, this being our January show, first show in the new year. I have a great guest coming on the second segment, Bill Callahan of Keller William Realty. I'll be talking a lot about what's going on in 2021 and what to look forward to in 2022, and some tips for buyers and sellers. And then we're going to talk about some of our notable land records and one of our colonial records. So the first image you're going to see is a listing of documents recorded at the registry. 2021 had the highest number of documents recorded since 2005, 16 years ago. And there were 15,816 more documents in 2021 than there was in 2020, a 10.63% increase. And last year was higher than any year since 2006. So very surprising to those of us following the market to how real estate has been during COVID. You're going to see an image of deeds. Deeds are the properties that have been sold. There have been 991 deeds recorded in December, more than 912 in November, 14% less than last year. Year to date, we're up 1%. The next image you're going to see is sales of properties for all the 27 communities in Plymouth County, one city, 26 towns, Brockton and Plymouth being the largest number of sales, and all the way down to the smallest number of sales in the town of Plimpton. You're going to see a graph of mortgages. We've had significant number of mortgages recorded over the last couple of years. A lot of people refinance their properties. Mortgages are used to purchase homes, but also people refinance their mortgages because the rates were so low. There were 2,714 mortgages recorded in December, less than the 2,653 in November, down 23% compared to last year, 3,517 mortgages, but year to date, we were still up 9%. We've always followed foreclosure issues since the crisis in 2008. Foreclosures are very, very low. There was a moratorium put in place under the COVID rules, and the foreclosures have not yet come back. There were only 12 foreclosure deeds in December, more than the 8 in November, 100% more than last December, which was under the moratorium, but 54% lower year to date. Another image is going to come up of foreclosure notices, image 6. Foreclosure notice is a document received at the registry that shows someone's in trouble. They're usually behind in their payments, and the bank is making an effort towards following the process to take over your home, because if you don't pay your mortgage, that's what happens. There were 18 foreclosure notices in December, more than the 38 in November, 25% less than last December, and 12% less year to date. I'm going to show you an image 7 of the foreclosures and orders of notice from all the 27 communities, from Abington to Whitman. Clearly, there's a lot of zeros in that list right now. Usually Brockton, Plymouth, and Wareham have higher numbers, and relatively they're the higher numbers, but also historically they're among the lowest we've seen in many, many years. So please be aware that there are people out there that are trying to do things with your property. We have a free property fraud alert that you can sign up for on our website, PlymouthDeeds.org, go to our homepage. Under resources, it'll say property fraud alert. Follow the prompts within that. Register your email. And if something gets recorded against your property, you'll get an email and you'll know whether it was something you recorded, like a homestead, or something you should try to figure out what it was. There's also a scam alert out there. People are trying to get you to pay a lot more to get copies of your deeds, sometimes $50, $60, up to $90 for that. You can go to one of our offices in Brockton, Plymouth, and Rockland and get a copy of your deed for $1 a page. Don't get caught up in the scam. I have a great guest coming on in the next segment, Bill Callahan of Keller Williams Realty. We'll see you next segment. Thank you. Welcome back to the Register's Report. Again, my name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds of Plymouth County. I have a great guest on my show, a repeat guest. This segment of the show, we always try to do something educational in nature. We've had many realtors. We've had attorneys that do closings. We've had surveyors, appraisers, anyone involved in the real estate market. But the realtors are our primary guests. They're the on-the-ground people that know what's going on in the real estate market. And welcome back, Bill Callahan.
John, thank you very much. Nice introduction.
Yeah,
Happy to be here.
So let's focus on Brockton here today, and Plymouth County here today.
Yeah.
So why don't you introduce yourself? I know you've been on before, how you ended up in the real estate business, particularly as a realtor.
Yeah. Well, I'm Bill Callahan, and I am associated with Keller Williams in Easton, 574 Washington Street, which is Route 138. I've been over there now 4 years, going on my 4th year. It's worked out very well. That's going well. I've been in the real estate business now 35 years.
Wow.
In fact, I was sitting talking with Kristen Keating, who's a young, and you know her father, Bill Keating.
Oh, sure.
And she's now joined Keller Williams. And she's my age. February 17th, she'll be 34, and I was 34 when I started.
Wow, wow.
It was so brought back some memories. But yeah, quite a career. Joined my father, and since that time, I've moved over to this Keller Williams. It's working out very well.
Great. So how was 2021 for you?
2021 was unbelievable. Yeah. Better than 2020.
Isn't it crazy during COVID? It was as crazy as it was?
I tell everybody, because people say, "How you doing? How are things?" And I have been very fortunate personally in my business, because we didn't lose business. We didn't have to suffer any kind of supply chain issues. Well, maybe a little bit in terms of listings and property, but nobody gets sick. So yeah, I'm very fortunate.
Yeah. Well, you always bring data with you.
Yes.
I know I see some charts there.
Quick summary.
Sure.
What's going on in the real estate business, people ask. So I did Plymouth County, and it follows to the other towns I did with Brockton, Bridgewater, and Kingston, and Plymouth. But the message is all the same. Listings are down, 21 over 20. Plymouth County's closed sales 5,893 as opposed to 6,275 the year before, but prices are up 13%. So that's what we're finding, and that follows for all the same towns. And I can bore you with statistics, but I don't think you need to know.
What you're saying is what we're saying, right?
Inventory is not what it was a year ago,
right,
but the prices are gone up. Now, the next question is, what do we see in 2022? Well, listings are going to be down, but now all of a sudden the interest rates have gone up. They're hitting the fours now.
That's what That's what they're talking about.
Yeah, and people are all excited. Wow, 4%. Oh, you and I remember double digits.
I'm talking about 4 potential rate increases this year.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. 4 is a great rate.
4 is a great rate. It's not 2,
right,
2.5, but it's a great rate.
Right.
And if it goes up a quarter a point 4 times, it's going to get in the 5s, 5 something. It's going to have some effect on our market.
Right.
And the effect it will have, it may slow this 13%, 15%, 10% price increase year over year. which is not a bad thing because it brings a little balance to the market. Rather than something selling in 6 days, maybe it stays on the market for a month and people get a chance to see it.
But a great barometer that only you would see is what happens when you have an open house. What's
Right.
going on in that situation these days?
We did an open house in Brockton, on the west side of Brockton, up in the Thorny Lee neighborhood there, 2 weeks ago, Saturday and Sunday, hour and a half each day. Over 20 couples, people, parties, each day, packed, one after another.
Still busy.
Busy, busy, busy. And we had multiple offers the next week,
Over asking price?
over asking.
That's been the trend, still.
Over asking and striking the inspection clause. John, it's amazing to me.
Me
It's
too.
amazing.
I just, waiving home inspection,
My son-in-law bought
it's
before.
dangerous.
What?
It's dangerous.
Yeah, he bought a HUD house on a foreclosure 3 or 4 years ago, before he was married to my daughter, but I helped him. And I told him to strike the inspection clause. My wife was so upset with me why I would do that. And later we found that there was some termite damage.
That's good. That's probably a good story.
But he got a good deal. He got in. And
Okay.
by striking that, he got in the deal.
Yeah.
He fixed the damage. It wasn't significant, but I don't forget that story.
So we're coming to the 2/3 our way through January.
Yeah.
What do
yeah.
you say, pre-spring market, what do you see over the next few months?
There's no spring market anymore. It's
Yeah,
just,
right.
properties come on the market and
Yeah.
people line up to get in. So the only thing that will affect our market is the weather. If it snows, that slows us down. But,
Mm-hmm.
there's really not a spring market anymore.
So
the
what-
holidays will have some effect, like Christmas, New Year's,
Yeah.
July 4th. But
So why would the inventory be lower now than before?
so some people, if they don't have a place to go, they're not going to
Yeah,
sell.
right, that's the problem,
They're not going anywhere.
right?
And to find another place
Mm-hmm.
and what you sell for and what you have to pay to get in,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the numbers don't line up. I was speaking with a young guy from Easton yesterday. He works for the water department. He put his house under agreement in Taunton. It took him last April. It took him till September, first week of September, to find something and close, and then he sold his house. But he had it under contract all those months.
Wow.
He said, I must have put in 50, 60 offers.
No, that would be scary,
That's scary.
unless you're going to a known place or
Yeah.
building an in-law or whatever.
Right.
Whatever those
People
situations.
downsizing, going to Florida, going to
Right.
assisted living, things like that, or,
right.
that still happens. That's still a big part of the market.
Right.
So it's just, and listings don't, if they stay on the market for 30, 60 days, then we have an increase in listings. Right now, here's a number for you,
Yeah.
real quick. 57 properties in Brockton, everything. Singles, condos, multis. 57 active, that's all.
Yeah.
Only 32 single-family houses in Brockton.
Wow.
Usually it's a couple hundred.
Right.
In all of Plymouth County, there's only 200 houses, 250 houses.
Yeah.
In Plymouth County.
Try to pick out of those, and a lot of them you wouldn't want the model.
Well, think
or
about
the-
it, if some are in Duxbury, they're over $1 million.
Right,
So,
Right.
how many people are going over there? Probably.
Yeah.
But of every house, from whatever, 200 to over $1 million, whatever the prices are, there's 257 in all of Plymouth County. That's amazing.
So it's a difficult market.
Yes.
Under those circumstances, what would you advise to a potential buyer?
You just have to be patient. My daughter wants to buy a house.
And how do you get prepared for it, too, I should
Well,
say?
you have to get pre-approved. And today, right now, if you've been pre-approved 6 months ago, go back and get a new letter. Because you're not the same at 2.5 or 3, what you are at 4. So we just had a sales meeting last week, and the loan officer came in and said, everybody get a new letter. And be ready for that letter. If it expires in 90 days, get another letter. And you have to have a letter in order to make an offer. So keep up with it. That's what I would tell. I tell my own daughter that.
Good.
Call this loan officer and get your letter updated. I would stay in the market. There's not a lot of listings, we've discussed that, but I tell my daughter, keep looking. Stay active, know what's in the market and know what they're selling for. So you're gonna see something.
What about buyer education classes?
The banks, the first-time buyer, very, very, very helpful. Because they help you with your budget program, not just the mortgage, but you're gonna need insurance. You're still gonna have to buy groceries and automobile expenses. So they're very good at teaching the whole budget process.
And on the flip side, if someone came to you that was a seller, or sellers that are potentially out there, what would you advise them?
A seller?
Yeah.
Well, most of the sellers I work with, they're not trying to do both. And it's very difficult to do both. So usually, if someone wants to sell, I got to sell this house, like that guy in Taunton, then he's gonna maybe he moves and gets an apartment or with the in-laws for a while to find something else. So usually there's some in-between place that they can go. It's hard to do both.
A rental or something.
Yeah, it's hard to do both, buy and sell within,
I'm hearing a lot of people do it, storing some of their
Correct.
furniture.
That's
and
correct, yes.
Going a place
And if you're
temporarily.
thinking about selling, I'll tell you what, start cleaning out the house.
Yeah, right.
We always talk about
Yeah,
that.
no kidding, yeah. Yeah, because
Throw it away.
you're not taking all that with you, whatever you've accumulated
yeah.
over the years.
It's amazing, it just becomes this mind block and this time block that, oh, I can never clean this house out. So
Yeah.
start with that.
Yeah, right. Good. So let's talk about, as we move through the year, anything, obviously the interest rates are potential to rise a little bit
Right.
at different stages. But other than that, what do you see going forward?
Well, full employment, when people are working, people are buying property. And I don't see anything bad on that side. And it's been pretty positive to date. People have jobs, they have money, and they have, their credit card debt's not out of line. So people are pretty, if they're not approved today, they can get approved in 30 days. With a young guy last night, I gave him 3 different people to call. I said, get comfortable with this process. Talk to these people. If you're not ready today, be comfortable asking the questions. What do I need to do? Some people are afraid of that loan officer, which I was when I was young. I didn't know what to do.
They may be credit issues they can deal with.
Yeah, but ask the question. What do I need to do?
Yeah, right.
It's easy to fix it. Just
Right.
takes a little bit of time.
Right.
A little discipline, a little time. That's all.
Right,
That's all.
right. So any other suggestions for what's going on in the real estate, how people can get prepared
Well,
for sale?
well,
Their properties for sale?
if they're going to sell, again, getting the property ready, we did say that, people are waiving inspections, but, take care of the little issues, fix it. Call the plumber, call the electrician. I'll tell you what, call the painter. For $500 or $1,000, you can make your house look a whole lot better, like stains in the ceiling and the walls. And, I have a guy that he goes in and he can fix holes and just fix a room, just make it beautiful again. So that's worth the time and money. If you're thinking about it, you're going to sell in April, start tomorrow, and don't get crazy. Just do one room at a time, one closet at a time.
So what do people ask about if their children are young and they're questioning the school system? What do you tell them to do?
Though this gentleman in Easton, that's why he was living in Taunton, kind of a busy street, and he went to Fairhaven.
Okay.
Not Fairhaven, Freetown.
Oh, sure, okay.
And
More wide open, yeah.
So he was trying to get a little different school system, quiet, get off that busy street he was on. So schools is probably the biggest issue for families today, as their kids get a little into the school age, that they're looking for to get them into a different public school system, or the house I just sold and put under agreement Canton. That woman was trying to get her wherever. I think they're down in Weymouth somewhere, but they wanted to get in the Canton school system.
So let's close out with why you are a realtor, not a real estate salesman.
As a realtor, which is the largest private organization, business persons organization in the country, over 2 million members, we subscribe to a code of ethics. And we have to take a code of ethics class every 2 years. We have to update our code of ethics. We subscribe to continuing education and helping in our community as realtors.
And your contact information one more time?
Bill Callahan, re@gmail.com, 508-583-8000.
As always,
It's been a
a
pleasure.
lot of information, a lot of history, a lot of great understanding of changes in the marketplace.
So thank you for thinking of me.
Right,
everybody.
thanks, Billy. Welcome back to the Register's Report. Again, my name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds of Plymouth County. I want to thank Bill Callahan for the great job he did describing what's going on in the real estate market. Right now, it's a tough market for buyers and sellers too, because you have to have a place to go, but Bill covered that about as good as you can. And I know that some of the information he gave you will be valuable, particularly when he said, if you're looking to buy a home, just go to an open house and try to figure it out. Go to a buyer education class, particularly if it's you're a new buyer, and eventually you'll find something that works for you. This segment of the show, we talk about some of the notable records and some of our great history. The holidays for the month of January: New Year's Day on the 1st, National Spaghetti Day on the 4th, National Milk Day, which we're going to mention in one of our records, Martin Luther King Day on the 17th, National Popcorn Day on the 19th, National Peanut Butter Day on the 24th, Holocaust Memorial Day, which we will talk about on one of our segments here, and National Hot Chocolate Day. Thought about that last night when I came out of a meeting and bought a hot chocolate on the way home. But the first image you're going to see relative to National Milk Day is a dairy farm that was operating for many, many years in the town of Abington, Griffin's Dairy, right on Route 58 in Abington. Generations, Griffin's Dairy was a family-owned dairy farm. For decades, cows at the farm produced milk delivered every morning to nearby homes. The farm was purchased in 1925 by Lawrence and Annie Griffin. Annie was an Irish immigrant. They raised their 6 children on the working farm. Griffin's Dairy is currently owned by the town of Abington. The purchase of that 64-acre farm was by the Abington Town Meeting in 1988. The land was sold for $750,000. It's known as Griffin's Farm Park. It's a multi-use property with community gardens, and it's been the recipient of Abington's community preservation funds. Griffin's Dairy Farm is a reminder from many days when Abington was a more rural town. So the next image we're going to see, also related to one of our holidays, is the Tory House. And we just had a Martin Luther King celebration. Certainly, there are still stories about when there were slaves passing through Massachusetts, some in Massachusetts, but the Underground Railroad was a way that they escaped slavery, particularly during the Fugitive Slave Act, when people would turn in escaped slaves for money. But on the north side of the Bridgewater Town Common is a historical 2-storied wooden building known as the Tory House. It was built in 1698, and it's got its name after someone, a Tory sympathizer who was head of the militia. The loyalty to the crown of Josiah got him in trouble with the local townspeople. He was forced to leave town, and the house was confiscated by the Continental Congress. It was sold to the town of Bridgewater, then became an inn, public house, dental office, but in the mid-1880s, it was a stop on the Underground Railroad. Famous slaves, William and Ellen Crafts, were sheltered there on their way north to Boston. They were heralded for their very unique way of escaping. William had a role of the slave. He was darker skinned, and his wife, Ellen, was lighter skinned, so she posed as the white owner. And they were traveling together. And so with the assistance of abolitionists, the Crafts stayed in Boston for 2 years. Because they were sought by bounty hunters after the Fugitive Slave Act in 1850, they quickly sailed to England for a safe haven. So there's a historical marker on the side of that building. If you ever stop in Bridgewater Center, just get out and take a look at it. So in honor of the issues of the Holocaust survivors, there was a tremendous person in Brockton, living not too far from the Brockton studio here over on Arlington Street, by the name of Dewey Stone. He was born in Brockton. He became a leader of both the Brockton and the Jewish communities. He served as a sergeant major in World War I, graduated with a business degree from Boston University, their family-owned Converse Rubber Company, but he had a strong role in funding the refugee ship Exodus to bring the Holocaust survivors from France to Palestine and in founding the State of Israel. He had a great relationship with President Harry Truman's former business partner, and during the United Nations debate over whether the resolution that separated Jewish and Arab states would occur, through Dewey Stone, he was very instrumental in convincing his friend to convince Harry Truman to be supportive of that, and that played a large role in the foundation of Israel. He was a founder of the Weizmann Institute of Science. The Stone Science Building at BU is named after him and his brother, Harry Stone. Our notable colonial record for the month is a record that recognizes the blue laws. There was a law in colonial times where they were strictly enforcing things like having a drink on a Sunday. So if an innkeeper, the ordinary keeper, they were so-called, drew any wine or liquor on a Sunday, in cases of necessity, except in cases of necessity, for the relief of those that were sick, they would have to pay a fine of 10 shillings for every default. You'll notice there was no fine for beer because that was one of the colonists, the Pilgrims' best ways to have nourishment. A lot of times the water wasn't as good as safe as the beer. So I want to thank Lorna Green Baker, Christine Richards from our office to help me put this show together. I want to thank Athena Grant and Thomas Reno for putting this cable show together here at Brockton Cable Access. This is a show that I've been doing for a long time. This is my 135th cable show. I do one a month, and we share this information with local access providers throughout Plymouth County so they can share with the homeowners of Plymouth County and the future homeowners of Plymouth County information about Plymouth County real estate. Thank you for joining us. Have a very safe winter as we go through the last several months of our 22 winter. Take care.